As a journalist, I'm often away from home for different projects. My job demands it. I'm married, 29, to the person I fell in love with during one of my trips. My husband is 30, and we've been married for 3 years now. We live in the house I inherited from my dad. Both of us work and contribute to our expenses and bills. Since we're often away for our jobs, we get very little time together. We have to plan dates and weekends to spend time together. The lack of quality time and the exhaustion when we do get home sometimes leads to arguments, but we always resolve them, so there are no major issues between us. We had been planning a trip for a long time but couldn't make it happen because my job got hectic, and I had to move from city to city. We wanted to take a road trip to a faraway city, stay at a hotel, and return in 2 days. We promised to go on this road trip as soon as we got the chance. We also saved some extra money to stay at a 5-star hotel and enjoy great dinners. Finally, I got the chance when I had to move back to my hometown for several weeks. I applied for a 3-day holiday, packed all the necessary stuff, and set off with my husband. We were very excited as it had been a long time since we had the chance to spend some quality time together. We took turns driving, played our favorite music, chatted, and laughed. It felt like the best time of my life. We reached our destination, checked into the hotel where our room was already booked, freshened up, and got ready for dinner. At the hotel's restaurant, we ordered food and reminisced about our lovely memories. Everything seemed perfect. After dinner, we went to bed, tired and ready for a good night's sleep. But when I woke up the next day, my husband wasn't by my side. I waited thinking he was in the bathroom, but he was taking too long. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. When I opened it, he wasn't there. I dressed up and went looking for him, calling his number, but it wasn't responding. My heart raced, and I became worried. I started asking random people if they had seen him. I quickly checked the rental car to see if he had left the hotel, and to my horror, the car wasn't there. I thought I should wait, but the anxiety was too much, so I left the hotel to look for him. With minimal cash, I somehow managed to get home. When I arrived, the door was already unlocked. Inside, I found my husband lying on the floor, crying and breathless, surrounded by broken photo frames and flower vases. I was completely clueless about what had happened. My husband noticed me, got up, and said that she had ruined him and left him with nothing. When I asked who he was talking about, he, in a wave of emotions, told me he had been in love with a girl from a nearby college and had been seeing her for about a year. I was shattered, my head spun, and I immediately left the house. I'm now at my friend's place because I can't face my cheating husband. After collecting myself, I confronted him and learned the whole story. I'm shocked that he dares to blame me, saying I was never there when he needed someone. According to him, I'm a self-absorbed woman only interested in my career with no value for relationships. It's hard to digest that this is the man I argued with my parents for, the man I took a stand to marry. I shared my life with him, all my concerns and cares revolved around him, and I put all my efforts into maintaining our relationship while he was seeing someone else and being intimate with her. I also have these feelings that my house and bedroom were being used in my absence, and this freaks me out. I can't believe I stayed in the dark for so long, ignoring the hints I occasionally got. I can't even face myself, feeling like a clown who was exploited all this time. I can't comprehend how he could confess to my face that he fell in love with a girl who has now ditched him for someone else, and he's unable to deal with his heartbreak. Here's an update. My husband approached me and begged me to return, saying he made a horrible mistake and is ashamed of it. He says it was a blunder and he never wanted to put me through this. In between his apologies, he kept saying that he isn't the only one responsible for this situation, and that I also have a share of the blame. He claims I was never vigilant enough, or I could have found out about his affair long ago. He says it was my carelessness and irresponsibility that led him to another woman, and I was clueless. He justifies his cheating by saying he needed attention and love in my absence, which led him to this situation. Even if I'm partly to blame, why did he shamelessly confess his love for that girl? Why does he say he is heartbroken and that she ruined him? How can he develop feelings for someone else while being married to me? All his apologies and begging make no sense. He says I should return and work on our struggling marriage, but I can't see a future with him, so I mustered up the courage and filed for divorce. As soon as he was notified, he acted crazy. He has been calling me, but I'm not interested in talking to him, so he started calling my friends, parents, and even my coworkers. He told them that I was never interested in this marriage and was always looking for a way to escape. Now, when I finally have an insignificant reason, I'm creating a mountain out of a molehill. He even questioned my character, saying I work with male coworkers and travel with them, so there's no credibility to my character. This tore my heart into pieces. I've always respected my partner so much. I can't believe this is the same person I fell in love with and fought to marry. This is the person who was my whole world. Now he's not even thinking before talking about my character. My parents called me, asking me to reconsider my decision and give him a chance, saying we're perfect for each other in every way. They asked what I'll do with my life after the divorce, insisting that I'm the one who will suffer the consequences while he finds another woman, just as he did before. The thing is, even if he can find himself 2 new women, he won't get any place in my life because I don't care anymore. I don't understand why my parents want me to stay stuck with such an immature cheat. I'm a well-established woman with a good job, nice pay, and a house. Why shouldn't I compromise and give him a chance? Did he consider our marriage while he was indulging with that kid who was good for nothing? My friend supports me and says she'll stand by me no matter what decision I make. Since I own the house, I'm going to kick him out. This might be his major concern since he'll be homeless unless he goes back to his parents' house. My husband is the real a-hole here, having a loving wife with a career and a house, who puts all her efforts into the marriage, doesn't give him the right to cheat just because she was busy with work. He's an ungrateful jerk who isn't even ashamed of what he's done and still wants reconciliation. He keeps blaming me for not knowing what was happening behind my back. I feel sorry for myself, realizing that during our road trip, I thought life with him was perfect. I'm glad things were dramatically uncovered so I can now stand up for myself. It's hard to understand why my parents want me to go back and live a life of darkness with him. They should be supporting me in this weak moment, not pushing me back into that mess. I shouldn't be pressured to return to someone who doesn't deserve or value me. I'm a strong woman who earns well and owns a house. I can lead a better life without that shameless cheater. I appreciate my friend who not only took care of me while I stayed at her place but also supported my decision to separate. She's acting like family, while my own family is pushing me into a hellhole. Ever since my daughter was born, my wife has developed an unhealthy habit of buying excessive clothes and toys for her. My daughter is currently 4 months old, and my wife buys clothes for her all the way up to 1 year old. I'm a house husband, so I do most of the baby-related work, and we don't even change our daughter that often. She doesn't wear half the clothes my wife buys. I don't see the need for all these clothes when we could spend the money on more important things like future preschool fees or savings. After work and chores, my wife goes straight to her phone and starts browsing Amazon, bulk buying baby clothes without a second thought. Some of these clothes are high-end brands that I don't let my daughter wear for fear of staining them. Not only will she outgrow these clothes within a year, but all this money is being wasted. So I decided to give away some of the clothes for ages 7 months and above to my sister, who also has a baby girl, and to a local charity supporting single mothers. My daughter already has enough clothes to last her a whole year. I wasn't planning to tell my wife until she ran into my sister at a family gathering and saw my niece wearing the clothes she bought. When she confronted my sister and realized the truth, my wife was furious. I might be the a-hole for not taking her permission, or at least reselling the clothes, but I knew she wouldn't agree, so I made a harsh decision. These clothes would be better off with someone who actually needs them. My wife is still pissed even though I've apologized and explained my rationale. I really wish she would stop impulse buying clothes, especially since it could strain her financial earnings, which could have otherwise gone into our joint savings account. P.S. Don't worry, my wife still pays all the expenses and bills on time, but this impulse buying could eventually cause problems. I started out thinking everyone sucks here, but you got more and more wrong. Your daughter is 4 months old, so giving away brand new clothes for 7 months ahead is ridiculous. Baby sizes are inconsistent, and babies go through growth spurts. You should have the next 2 sizes available. It's not like she's buying size 3T. This just means your wife will have to buy new stuff in a month or 2, costing more money. Also, you don't put the clothes on because you're afraid she'll stain them. She's a baby. If you've already spent the money on clothes, let her wear them. She'll outgrow them in 2 months anyway. If you've already spent the money, who cares if she stains a $5 onesie or a designer outfit? Take a few cute pictures before the inevitable mess. Have an actual grown-up conversation with your wife. Set a budget. Talk about how designer stuff isn't worth it and should be returned or limited. If she's completely unwilling to compromise and you can't save, that's an issue. But getting rid of clothes that will fit in 2 to 3 months without discussing it, that's just ridiculous and in a whole move that doesn't benefit anyone. Here's the next story. We recently had senior recognition for my team since our regular season is over. Each year, each senior's accomplishments on the team and academically are talked about. Then they are escorted by their parents and given a gift of a framed uniform. They introduce the senior by saying, "Here is first name, last name from hometown," escorted by her parents, mom's first and last names, and dad's first and last names. I asked my coach not to use my mom and stepdad's last name since it's different from mine and brings up uncomfortable feelings. I 22F asked my mom and stepdad to escort me since they were there almost every single day of my childhood, through good and bad moments. My stepdad stuck around and loved me even when I hated him because he wasn't my actual dad. I thought it was impossible for him to love me as much as he loves my half-siblings. They are 100% siblings to me. I don't like using the term half. My dad, stepmom, and half-siblings lived in another state. I saw them during some school breaks and holidays until I had practice almost every day in summer. My dad and stepmom flew to see me 1 weekend a month because my stepmom couldn't handle me having my dad all to myself for just 2 days. My dad and stepmom came to this last competition of the regular season. I didn't tell my dad about senior recognition because I didn't know he was coming. When he found out, he was sad, and my stepmom got snippy. I told them they were part-time parents and delusional for thinking I'd give them credit for raising me when they live states away. My dad called me crying, saying how much he loves me and how hard it was to be away. My stepmom lectured me about how they did the best they could. I kind of feel like in a hole now for not telling my dad and yelling at him. My stepmom not wanting me to have my dad all to myself is just a theory, not the hole. I imagine my half-brother and sister feel the same way. My dad picked my mom and me over his 2 kids with his first wife. I was a baby and didn't know what was going on, but looking back, he did them dirty. After asking both my parents vaguely, I'm pretty sure it was 90% my mom's influence and 10% my dad's fear of conflict. If you want a relationship with your dad, directly ask him why he wasn't around and if it was because of your stepmom. You're still young enough to mend fences if you want. My half-siblings are in their late 40s and early 50s, and my father has passed away. Either way, you're definitely not the a-hole. Being a vacation parent is a choice. If your children are important, you make every effort to be part of their lives. Your dad chose not to be involved, and it sounds like your stepmom encouraged that choice. They don't get to expect anything from you. If this event was your dad's light bulb moment, you could sit down and talk with him alone about his role in your life and what you need from him going forward if he wants a better relationship. But that is one